you avoid all of it as we head through the wormhole over towards Manfield. Let's kick it off here in the upper bracket finals.
Opening kickoff, going to be a nice drop back over for Arsenal. Brings it forward through that first corner and tries to battle Archie for the ball. And solid defense there on that near post from Endpoint to kick things off.
So no early kickoff goal to start things off. Things don't go from bad to worse for anybody as Archie now trying to weave his way through, not happening. Daniel down in front. Arsenal will pop one in, going in behind the defense, back where it came from, and just less than 30 seconds in, it's SSG on top.
Nice little break check, kind of chip there into that upper right corner. Play goes exactly to plan. Space Station up 1-0 early here. Endpoint gives up the first goal.
We've constantly said about Arsenal, when he gets going, when he's got all that confidence flowing, it's like having a fourth player on the field. He seems to just play a little bit faster with a lot more energy, and he doesn't seem to lose any 50s. He gets the early goal here. Could be bad news for Endpoint, who, as mentioned, didn't take a single game at the Spring Major in London, but here they've been flawless so far. Relating wave out of the corner. He's got Metsonoris looking for Archie. Have to imagine Archie's going to factor into this in a huge, huge way. Might play at least 2 out of the 3 formats for Endpoint. He played the 2s yesterday with Relating Wave. And talking to Eclipse before their series yesterday, he said, look, Archie's going to tell us who he's going to play with for the 2s. They kind of make that decision on the fly based on how he's feeling, but Archie's going to be the guy if and when they end up in a 2v2.
I think on the other side, we just automatically know, since, you know, in the interviews, Reynolds just basically said, here's the game plan. You want 1s, you get Daniel. You want 2s, well,
you get Daniel.
You get Daniel. That's going to be the play. We're going to come through. He says that him and Daniel have been playing really well together, so they'll be coming through playing the 2s. So I think we can at least know exactly what to see out of the side of SSG. We don't have to speculate at all.
Had to win a shootout yesterday in their series, did SSG in the 2v2 matchup. Went 4-3, but they did get the dub as part of that sweep. Here goes Reynolds trying to get the double, and the angle blocked off, but there's Daniel to clean it up. Reynolds and Daniel connect for a 2-0 lead.
Yeah, the effort here from Reynolds gets 2 to jump. It takes them both, and Relating Wave just not going to be able to get back in time. Leaves a nice, open, easy net for Daniel. I mean, you could make the net a lot harder for him as well, and it's probably still going in. It you know, is Daniel.
You see the men standing behind the teams for Space Station Gaming, of course, Chrome, and the Welshman Eclipse for Endpoint. 2 of the smartest in the business, and certainly with Chrome, a lot of respect around the scene. Arsenal lining one up, trying to leave one for Daniel. Didn't work out. Reynolds throws one central, and, well, Daniel was in the area, but they do not connect this time. Reynolds with the demolition. That disrupts Endpoint's counterattack efforts, and more zone time for SSG, trying to pin Endpoint down and not let them onto this half of the field, as they've just done, only temporarily.
It feels really like Endpoint can't maintain that possession. The touch is just a little too rough or not quick enough for the pass, and that lane getting cut off, and they continue to give up possession, not finding ways to keep that close. They need to find a way to do that to facilitate themselves downfield. They continue to lose it in the midfield off of those touches.
Metsonoris doesn't have anybody forward at all. You could even see Archie and Wave were so far back. Now they're both starting to creep up, but SSG has possession, and more importantly in this situation, Arsenal had it for a moment. Now Daniel just gonna lob one across. He'll eat the demo for his efforts, but there's Reynolds. Nobody central there. So we've seen a lot of infield passes that haven't found the mark because there hasn't been a mark to find over there.
Yeah, it's been coming out of both sides. I mean, really once into the offensive third, SSG obviously is getting the job done, coming through the corner or getting 2 to jump on that last play, but the midfield is a bit of a mystery to both teams at the moment.
See a shot of the stage just a moment ago. Of course, set up for multiple different esports events here as part of the weeks-long festival that is Gamers8. Here goes Relating Wave, looking for an equalizer, and the pass just too strong. Couldn't catch up to it. Metsonoris unable to keep control. He'll at least get one centered, but again, cleared away. The passing accuracy has not been there for either side, or in many cases, maybe the pass has gone where it's supposed to, but there's just been nobody there for it. Metsonoris, kind of a nice doink, and it leads to that from Relating Wave, and they've got one back on the board.
Talking about the midfield passes kind of coming through and nothing really coming for it. Not necessarily an infield coming from the sidewall like we were talking about earlier, but right through the midfield and just right on the money with that doink, right off that backboard, and a nice cleanup for Metsonoris as the speed is just a bit too fast for the Space Station defense to get there. And then the kickoff going to go the way of Daniel here. Dropped right down onto the nose of Reddles from that touch from Archie, and they will maintain possession for a moment, and that's going to be an immediate recovery goal from Endpoint. They're going to tie it up 2-2. I say recovery. No, it's going to be their second in a row. They're not recovering from anything. They're just setting that up. Good infield pass. Archie's there this time. Finally, the infield play works out. Yeah,
Relating Wave running interference across there. Even if whether he makes contact or not, it's going to cause enough of a disruption. As a result, tie game, just like that. SSG head's got to be spinning just a little bit as Reddles got a demo. He couldn't get control here. Arsenal has to come up and support, but Archie's got it away. Now Reddles with time expiring. Tried to go underneath Metza. It's still dangerous. Relating Wave will drop it away. Arsenal waiting, and he got it up the wall just in time. Drop down for Daniel, and the shot blocked away. Right at the last second, we go to OT.
OT here in game one. This is definitely one of those ones where Endpoint needs to win. As the desk was saying, we kind of alluded to it. They need to win these 3v3 series, or the matches in these series, because the 1s and 2s, I do believe, favor SSG, and they will be the favorites moving forward right now as they are up 1-0 in the series. 12 seconds into OT. Arsenal sinks it.
Yeah, not a good touch there, just a giveaway, and Metsonoris didn't have enough time to react. It's a game winner for Arsenal as SSG moves to 2-0 in overtimes in this event. They clinched the series with an OT winner yesterday on the B stream against Heat. Now they're up 1-0 here, going into what I would have to imagine would have to be a 2v2.
Yeah, I was about to say, I mean, I'm holding up the twos on my hand here. They can't see it at home, but that has to be it. You can't think that you're going to go in and take out Daniel in the 1v1. You have to assume that your better chances in that 2v2. You know the 1v1's going to happen at some point, though. It has to if you're going to get this done. So at some point, somebody's going to have to play him. You don't want to do that now, though. You want to try and get the 2v2, get that W there, then look at the 3s. Leave the 1s for later. Deal with that problem when it's forced upon you. Don't give it to yourself right out the gate.
And we'll see exactly who will get grayed out here. Will it be Relating Wave or Metsonoris that ends up playing alongside Archie? We could be pretty confident that even though Arsenal scored 2 out of the 3 for SSG, that you have to imagine it's going to be Reddles and Daniel up against Archie and X, which we're about to find out as soon as we get into our second game. So we could see Relating Wave in free play at the moment. That might suggest that Archie's going with Metza.
Could be. I'm just sitting here getting distracted by that centerpiece of the stage constantly.
The stage is fantastic.
This thing right here, when you're sitting in that arena and somebody scores a goal and it explodes the huge, like, 30, 40-foot tall player onto the screen is so cool every single time. We will get the 2s. It is Reddles and Daniel versus Archie and Metsonoris.
So going with Metsonoris today as Reddles. Opening drive sent away by Archie. Had to know Archie was going to be the guy for Endpoint here. We talked about it earlier. No wrinkles thrown into the plans at all by Eclipse and Endpoint. Up high, and Reddles couldn't connect there as Daniel maybe more ambitious than anything else with that sky-high ball. Now Reddles for himself out of the corner. Got the shot by, and it's Reddles scoring first.
Nice little off-speed touch from here out of the corner to himself, where he just kind of pulls back and drops it just around the outside of Archie, finds the inside of that right side post. First goal goes the way of Space Station here once again, much like it did early in game 1 in the 3v3.
Metsonoris. Again, Endpoint not out of this by any means. An early goal. They came back from it earlier. They forced that overtime, and it's anybody's game at that point. But another quick overtime for SSG, and you can tell, you know, they have this constant attack mode that they do not really sit back on leads, as Archie will answer right back. Metsonoris kind of put him to sleep, and then Archie put it away.
Gets past Daniel in that first initial pop, and then looks like he's gonna soft drop it in, which causes Reynolds to have to respect it to play that touch. Can't find it because it never comes to fruition, and that just opens the net right up. 1-1 here, only a minute into the game. We've got 2 goals on the board. Make it three. Reynolds gonna go ahead, just fake that one by and slot it in nice and easy.
So it's SSG just after the first minute, opening up a lead again. Couple goals out of Archie, 1 out of Relating Wave for Endpoint. Arsenal had the 2 goals in game 1, including the overtime winner. Daniels added 1, and Reddle just got his 2nd of the series. Here goes Archie. Got Metza to his left, and Reddle's just right there to be a pest. And Daniel sends one across out of harm's way. You know, for both of these teams, of course,
what a 50.
You know how good they're going to be in 2s, but SSG, as the desk alluded to, just seems to be on a different level when you consider all 3 formats.
It's one of the ones where you favor them in all 3. This is one of those ones where they do have that slight edge, I believe, on every single format. And when you have 50s like that in the setups, when you're just winning those touches in those battles, it's gonna go your way when you can take those fights time and time again. Flip reset and a challenge there momentarily out of Daniel. Reddles will end up picking this one up off the sidewall, looking to do it himself. It does get cut off as Metsonoris finds it right above the crossbar.
You know, SSG content to play a high-scoring game where, you know, they kind of throw caution to the wind when it comes to 2s. They feel like they can outscore probably just about anybody. Here goes Daniel. He's a big reason why. He's got Reynolds all the way across and never got the pass away. Metsonoris quickly in his face. So now Archie's got to think about when to turn. This goes away, and he picked his spot perfectly.
Daniel, obviously out there on that left side, playing, waiting to see if that one comes across, was able to read the lane well. A good 50 comes through for Archie. You can then try and put it up above the defender. Daniel able to wait for that, comes back out for the challenge and sends it high. And a good challenge here thus far from SSG there. Puts one across the net and just not gonna be able to go through. Defense there.
Reddles way at the back, nursing a 2-goal lead as Archie's coming on. Halfway mark gone by here in game 2 after SSG got an overtime winner in the first 3s game. And you have to imagine that does not sit well at all with Endpoint, because you feel like they've got to win the 3s if they're really gonna have a shot in this matchup, knowing that the 1v1 is looming, and you know you've somehow got to get around Daniel. Sure, someone like Razebull could come out of nowhere and do it, but are you going to get that kind of production out of Relating Wave, for instance? Really tough to be disciplined in all 3 formats, as both Wave and Daniel are. As that shot goes a little bit wide, and Reddles just hanging around, doesn't have a lot in the tank, doesn't have anything in the tank at the moment, as he's trying to find anything, and he does.
I mean, sometimes you don't need anything. You just got to play the ball. Just because you're boostless doesn't mean you're useless. You got to stay in the play, and he's able to get a good 50. To be fair, I hadn't thought about that. I think that is exactly where I picked that up. It was probably Subi and Rivals when I heard that.
Oh, how about Daniel? Unbelievable! He just did that.
Of course he did. It's Daniel. Why wouldn't he do that? Perfectly slotted under the bar. Why not just use the mechanics, take a tough shot, and just place it oh so perfectly?
That's routine for him. It's unreal. Quick cheat off the kickoff as Metsonoris is there, and he goes right under the ball. Mistakes that they cannot afford to make as a team right now. Down 3 as Metza ranging back, and probably as a team still reeling from the display put on by Daniel just now. He's got time to grab boost and ball. Got around Archie and just about got around Metsonoris as well. Well, Reynolds goes right by the ball. Doesn't really matter. They got the 3-goal lead, but you know, you make a mistake like that in the corner, you run the risk of at least giving a team like Endpoint just a little bit of hope in the closing seconds here.
It was a good effort there from Reynolds as he worked his way down the field. In the end, though, the the double team on that back wall, able to read it, and Daniel just puts a heater on net, comes off the sidewall, perfectly placed shot once again. 29 seconds remain here, up by 4. This one definitely going to be going the way. I'm just going to call it here. I don't think that you're coming back from 4 in 29 seconds.
Hey,
is it mathematically possible? Is it mathematically possible that it could happen? Sure. Is it going to? No, it's not going to happen here. So Space Station going to take this one. Now all of the pressure starting to push harder and harder on the side of Endpoint. They now have to come through in the next 3v3 win. And if they do, what's waiting for them on the other side? Daniel in a 1v1, which is going to be the true test of, can this happen? If the win's going to happen, it now has to go through Daniel in a 1v1.
Well, the only drama here now is, will we see a Brazil? Is Space Station Gaming up 5, 20 seconds left. Reddles got a lane, but there is Archie to meet him. Daniel trying to do it himself. Look, he is human after all. Metza try to get one for the road. Archie will score with only 7 seconds left, but now as this series shifts back to a 3v3 in game 3, you know, you look at Endpoint and you look at Relating Wave, who's been in free play all this time. All the pressure's going to be on him now, because you have to imagine they're going to him in the 1v1 if they get there in game 4. But he's also got to step up in a big, big way. He had a goal in game 1. He may have to be the catalyst that gets the ball rolling here as Endpoint tries to reverse sweep their way into the playoffs. Down 0-2 in the upper finals to SSG.
I mean, there's only a few tougher teams that I think that if we wanted to look at it, say that it could possibly be a harder road to try and reverse sweep here at this tournament. Daniel is definitely going to be the problem for them if they do get to that 1v1. There's a couple other teams that would have players playing at that level, but there's only a few that I would hold in that same regard as Daniel here.
11 goals between the 2v2 games that SSG has played so far at Gamers8. And now, of course, they know they're done with 2v2 for this round. We go back to 3s where they've outscored opponents 8-4. It's been a little closer, especially when they had a tight affair with Heat yesterday. And you have to imagine, for Endpoint, you look back at that result and go, okay, if Heat can get these guys on the ropes and threaten to beat them, surely we can. But having lost a couple in a row, and maybe the doubt creeping into your mind and the prospect of having to play another match right after this, you know, it's a tough mental barrier to overcome. We constantly hear players say, we're not thinking about the next one, we're only focusing in the moment. Players lie, okay? Like they can say all they want, that they're focused in on the present moment. What's waiting for them on the other side of another L here has got to be looming. Relating Wave back on the pitch as we're into 3s mode again for game 3. SSG 1 win away from punching its ticket into the top 8 this weekend.
And a little bit more dancing as a victory if they get this one done. I imagine Arsenal will be vibing out a bit more. This one here, Reynolds in the corner. Daniel come through, pick it up, and look to facilitate a play downfield, and he'll just float it all the way, and it comes off the post and easily cleaned up by Reynolds. That one almost in himself, but hey, it works as a pass too. He may have been shooting, but sometimes the best passes are just near misses.
Reynolds and Daniel both continue to just light up the scoreboard. 5th goal of the series for Reynolds, 5th assist for Daniel to go with 3 goals of his own. It has been dominant since that overtime winner from Arsenal. As the demo comes out here, now Archie lobbing one high to the backboard. Arsenal couldn't get to it, but he does get the follow-up. And that's great defending there. Not trying to do too much, realizing that he can still make a play on the recovery. He does so brilliantly. Reynolds and Daniel, boy, everybody just jammed up in that corner. Opportunity for Endpoint, and they can't take advantage of the kind of tight-knit positioning of SSG.
The floater in the midfield just can't seem to get anything going on the side of Endpoint. A couple soft touches here, and it just can't really get a read on the ball. They had that miss on that last one, but you know what? It doesn't really matter what I have to say. All that really matters is that as I say it, they figure it all out. Metzenaar sets himself up, throws one down. Endpoint ties it up 1-1.
Metzenaar with his first goal of this series came at a good time when they were down with their back against the wall. And he's charging through on the kickoff here. Arsenal's going to beat him with that back corner boost and the ball. And Daniel just lob one downfield, keep them honest, as Metz is going to lob it right back. And Reddles patiently waiting. Just not a lot of urgency out of Endpoint. They're not a team that's going to just throw the sink at you. You know, they just kind of sit back and almost wait for something to open up, and that just doesn't happen against Space Station.
Now, Space Station's not here to just kind of let you have a chance at the ball. The speed on these players, they're going to be in your face every single time. You're never going to have an easy touch, an easy look at the ball. Another one going to float in to just a wide open net from Reddles. Straight downfield, sets it up to himself, recovery to the wall, and just bangs one down.
You know, Reddles has been a force for sure. Daniel doing his part as well. Arsenal, he's there. He's just big vibing at this point, watching his team do a lot of work. Lob one in here. Arsenal couldn't get a touch, but it didn't matter. His defensive presence enough to disrupt the efforts. Now Reddles, so you can see the focus from Metza Norris. There's going to be no panic on Metza. No panic from Endpoint. They're the epitome of calm almost at all times. But sooner or later, urgency's got to kick in. Got to find a way to get multiple goals in a row here against SSG, or their upper bracket run will come to an end. And again, they'll have to turn around immediately and face Heat with a spot in the top 8 on the line.
Opportunity there for a moment for Endpoint. They get these touches and they get the ball in front of the net, and it just seems like that next man isn't quite there, doesn't have the read in the play, doesn't necessarily know where that ball is going to get placed, so he can't commit for it. And again, you're talking about they're kind of waiting for things to happen, but then when those moments do happen on the offensive end, the other player isn't there to strike.
Here's Arsenal again, looking for more, and again blocked by Archie. Relating wave has to throw one to the corner under immense pressure again. SSG swarming. Arsenal got around one. Reddles there, and he'll slot it under the bar. 3-1 SSG.
Great little beat here from Arsenal. That touch right there over the top of Metzenaar to just play it straight up into the ceiling, and that read coming back down. Great play from Space Station, just finding ways to facilitate each other, find ways to just beat the defender time and time again.
Slater again continues his reign of terror, and then this shot just a little bit high and wide. So not everything he touches turns to gold, but pretty darn near. 3-1 the lead, but we saw Endpoint score a couple quick ones late in game one. The other threes match up. Got to channel that same energy here as Arsenal and Daniel combine on a defensive clear. Now it's Reddles for Daniel. Arsenal's there as well, and it just goes wide. More time wasting from SSG as they continue to pepper the back wall of Team Endpoint. Metzenaar just couldn't get there in time. Didn't have a lot to work with, and as a result, that shot going wide as well, and time running out on Endpoint now, down to 45 seconds, and another clearance makes things even tougher for the Europeans.
It hurts to see those moments there. You talked about it earlier, they're kind of waiting for something to happen, and in the moment that happens, the wide open net, the floated ball on the opposite end, and Metzenaar just doesn't have the boost, can't get the speed to get there, and that's just got to be oh so frustrating when you're in that position.
Lots of high-octane upper bracket matchups on tap today, but this one clearly going the way of SSG as the final 10 seconds will wilt away. Reddles still got it. Daniel, a heavy force. Arsenal, a defensive wizard. And Space Station Gaming are through to the top 8.